Let us start with a fight that happens inside millions of Canadian homes every single tax season. A woman in Toronto opens her banking app in late February. She looks at her RRSP deadline. It is 60 hours away. She has $14,000 sitting in her checking account. She has no idea where to put it. Her husband says the RRSP is smarter because you get a tax refund. Her coworker says the TFSA is obviously better because it is tax-free forever. Both of them sound confident. Both of them are only half right. Now watch what happens next. She puts the money in the RRSP. She gets a tax refund of roughly $5,000. She feels smart. She spends that refund on a kitchen renovation. 15 years later, she retires. She starts withdrawing from that RRSP, and the government takes 25 cents of every single dollar she pulls out. That tax refund she celebrated, she paid it all back, and then some. This is not a math problem. It is a trap, and most Canadians walk right into it because they have never seen the real numbers beneath the marketing. Today, we are going to settle the RRSP versus TFSA debate for good. Not with feelings, not with what your uncle told you at a barbecue, but with the actual tax math, the actual compounding math, and the actual retirement math that the banks do not want you to run, because once you understand it, you will stop guessing and start knowing. Let us begin with a story that will make you uncomfortable. There is a couple in Vancouver, same age, same income, same savings rate. They each have $10,000 to invest this year. One puts it in an RRSP. The other puts it in a TFSA. They both earn a 7% annual return. They both hold the investment for 30 years. And they both withdraw the money in retirement at a combined federal and provincial tax rate of 30%. The RRSP person gets a tax refund of $3,000 upfront. They reinvest that refund. The TFSA person gets zero refund. Zero. At the end of 30 years, who has more money? The answer will surprise you. After 30 years before tax, the RRSP grows to roughly $130,000. The TFSA grows to roughly $100,000. The RRSP looks like the winner, but then you pay the tax. You withdraw that RRSP money at 30%. You lose $39,000 to the government. You walk away with $91,000. The TFSA person withdraws the full $100,000. No tax, no paperwork, no surprise. The RRSP gave you a big refund up front and then took it back on the back end. The TFSA gave you nothing up front and then gave you everything on the back end. If your tax rate is identical at contribution and withdrawal, the two accounts are mathematically equal. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Almost nobody has identical tax rates. Your tax rate changes, your province changes, your life changes, and that changes everything. Let us look at 3 real Canadians, not hypotheticals, real situations that play out every single day. Number 1, the high-income earner. A doctor in Calgary earning $250,000 a year. Her marginal tax rate is 48%. She puts $10,000 into an RRSP. The government sends her a refund of $4,800. She reinvests that refund. 30 years later, she retires. Her retirement income is $100,000. Her marginal tax rate drops to 30%. She withdraws the money. She pays 30% tax. She comes out ahead, way ahead. The RRSP was the correct choice by a very large margin. Number 2, the early career worker. A 24-year-old in Halifax earning $50,000 a year. Her marginal tax rate is 27%. She puts $10,000 into an RRSP. She gets a refund of $2,700. Not nothing, but not huge. She then gets married. She has kids. She takes 5 years off work. Her income drops. She starts withdrawing from the RRSP early to cover expenses. Her tax rate is now nil. She pays zero tax. In this case, the RRSP worked beautifully, but that is not the full story. Because if she had instead put that same $10,000 into a TFSA at age 24, she would have lost the refund. But she would have gained something arguably more valuable, which is flexibility. She could have pulled that money out at any time without penalty. No tax hit, no lost contribution room, no paperwork. For a young person whose life is about to change dramatically, the TFSA is often the smarter play even when the math on paper says RRSP. Number 3, the person nobody talks about. A 50-year-old in Mississauga earning $120,000. She has a workplace pension. She has a mortgage. She has 2 kids in university. She has no idea what her tax rate will be in retirement because her pension alone will push her into a high bracket. For her, the TFSA is almost certainly better because every dollar she puts in an RRSP today will be withdrawn on top of her pension income. That means her tax rate in retirement might be exactly the same as her tax rate today. And if the rates are equal, the accounts are equal. But the TFSA gives her something the RRSP cannot. It gives her control. She can take money out for an emergency. She can take money out for a grandchild. She can take money out for a trip. And she never pays a penny of tax. So why does the average Canadian still default to the RRSP? Because the refund feels good. Psychology is undefeated. A $3,000 refund in April feels like a gift from the universe. The TFSA gives you nothing in April. It gives you everything in 30 years. but 30 years feels like a different lifetime. Now let me show you the hidden variable that changes everything. The government does not just tax your RRSP withdrawals, it also counts them as income. That means every dollar you pull from your RRSP can claw back your old age security. It can reduce your GIS. It can push you into a higher tax bracket faster than you expect. The TFSA has none of that. TFSA withdrawals are invisible to the taxman. They do not affect OAS. They do not affect GIS. They do not affect any income-tested benefit. Let me give you a real number. In 2025, the OAS clawback starts at roughly $90,000 of annual income. If you are a retired couple with 2 workplace pensions and 2 RRSPs, you can blow past that threshold very quickly. Every dollar above that threshold costs you 15 cents of OAS. That is a hidden tax that almost nobody calculates. The TFSA completely sidesteps it. So, here is the real math that will change how you think about these accounts forever. The RRSP wins when your tax rate at contribution is meaningfully higher than your tax rate at withdrawal. Period. That is the only condition. If you are in a 40% bracket today and you expect to be in a 25% bracket in retirement, the RRSP is a gift. If you are in a 30% bracket today and you expect to be in a 30% bracket in retirement, the accounts are equal. But the TFSA wins on flexibility, and the TFSA wins on stealth, and the TFSA wins on estate planning because your TFSA passes to your spouse or your children completely tax-free. An RRSP, on the other hand, gets fully taxed in the year of death unless the beneficiary is a spouse. That means if you leave a $500,000 RRSP to your adult child, the government can take almost half of it. That same $500,000 in a TFSA passes untouched. Now watch what happens when we run the numbers on a typical Canadian household. Let us take a family in Edmonton. Combined income of $160,000. Marginal tax rate of 36%. They have $15,000 to save this year. They can afford to put it in one account or split it. They plan to retire in 25 years. They expect to need roughly $60,000 per year in retirement. Their mortgage will be paid off. Their CPP and OAS will cover about $40,000. They need another $20,000 from their savings. If they put everything in the RRSP, they get a refund of $5,400. That is real money. They can reinvest it. But their RRSP withdrawals in retirement will be fully taxable. And those withdrawals will sit on top of their CPP and OAS, potentially pushing them into a higher bracket or triggering the OAS clawback. If they put everything in the TFSA, they get no refund today. But their withdrawals in retirement add zero taxable income. They stay in a lower bracket. They keep every penny of their OAS. And they can pull money out early if something goes wrong without penalty. The correct answer for this family is not all RRSP or all TFSA. It is both. Use the RSP to bring your taxable income down from $160,000 to roughly $120,000 or $110,000. That saves you tax at your highest marginal rate. Then put every additional dollar into the TFSA. That gives you the flexibility and the tax-free retirement income you need. This is what the banks will never tell you. The RRSP and the TFSA are not enemies. They are partners. The RRSP is for deferring high-rate tax dollars today. The TFSA is for building a tax-free fortress for tomorrow. You need both. But there is another layer most Canadians miss entirely. The TFSA has contribution room that grows every single year. In 2025, if you have never contributed and you were at least 18 years old in 2009, your total contribution room is well over $100,000. The average Canadian TFSA balance is only $45,000. That gap is the single biggest missed opportunity in Canadian personal finance because the TFSA is not just a savings account. It is a tax-sheltered growth engine. You can hold stocks, index funds, GSEs, even private company shares inside a TFSA, and every single dollar of growth is completely tax-free for the rest of your life. Compare that to a non-registered account where dividends are taxed, capital gains are taxed, and interest is taxed at your full marginal rate. The TFSA is not a nice-to-have. It is a mandatory tool for anyone who wants to build real liquid wealth in this country. Now let me tell you about the mistake that costs Canadians billions of dollars every single year, using your RRSP or TFSA like a checking account. The data is brutal. Tens of thousands of Canadians withdraw from their RRSPs before retirement every single year. They pay withholding tax. They lose that contribution room forever. They interrupt the compounding machine. And for what? A new car? A renovation? A vacation? An RRSP is not an emergency fund. It is not a savings account. It is a retirement account. If you withdraw from an RRSP before retirement, you are borrowing from your future self at punitive rates. The same is true for the TFSA, though it is less damaging because you get the contribution room back the following year. But even then, pulling money out stops the compounding. And compounding is the only reason any of this works. Let me show you the difference compounding makes. A 25-year-old who puts $7,000 into a TFSA every year for 10 years and then stops and earns 7% annually will have over $1 million at age 65. They contributed just $70,000. The rest is growth. Tax-free growth. That is not magic. That is math. And every year you delay, that million becomes 800,000, becomes 600,000, becomes 400,000. The cost of waiting is enormous. Now, which account should you prioritize? Here is the simple framework that works for almost everyone. Step 1. If your employer offers an RRSP match, take it immediately. That is a 100% return on your money. Nothing beats that. Not the TFSA, not anything. Max the match first. Step 2. If you're in the top 2 tax brackets, which in most provinces means roughly $150,000 of income or higher, prioritize the RRSP. The immediate tax savings are too large to ignore. Step 3. If you are in the middle brackets, between roughly $50,000 and $150,000, prioritize the TFSA. The tax refund from the RRSP is smaller, and the flexibility of the TFSA is more valuable. Step 4. If you are in a low bracket, under $50,000, ignore the RRSP entirely. Your tax refund will be tiny. Use the TFSA exclusively. You can always contribute to an RRSP later when your income rises. And Step 5, which is the step almost nobody takes. Reinvest your RRSP refund, every single dollar of it. If you spend your refund on anything other than more savings, you are breaking the math. The RRSP only works if the refund gets reinvested. If you treat it like free money, you are cheating your future self. Let us end where we started. The woman in Toronto with $14,000 and 60 hours to decide. What should she do? First, she should look at her income this year and her expected income in retirement. If she is in a high bracket now and expects to be in a much lower bracket later, she puts the money in the RRSP. She reinvests every dollar of the refund. If she is in a middle bracket, or if she has any uncertainty about her retirement tax rate, she puts the money in the TFSA. And if she is lucky enough to have room in both, she splits it. She uses the RRSP to drop her taxable income down one bracket. Then she puts the rest in the TFSA. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most Canadians will not do any of this. Most Canadians will guess. Or worse, they will do nothing. They will let the deadline pass. They will leave their TFSA empty. They will let their RRSP contribution room expire. And they will wake up at age 65 with a paid-off house, a small pension, and a deeply uncomfortable realization that their wealth is locked in the walls and their liquid savings are nowhere near enough. The RRSP and the TFSA are the two most powerful wealth-building tools the Canadian government has ever created. They are not complicated, but they are also not intuitive. The RRSP gives you a prize today and asks you to pay it back later. The TFSA gives you nothing today and asks for nothing later. One feels good now, one feels good later. And the difference between the Canadians who understand that and the ones who do not is measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost potential. Do not be the Canadian who guesses. Run your own numbers. Look at your own tax bracket. Look at your own retirement timeline and make the choice that actually works for your life, not the choice that feels good at tax time. If this video changed the way you think about RRSPs and TFSAs, you know what to do. Hit subscribe and start building real wealth, not the kind locked in drywall, the kind you can actually spend.